Welcome to Fall Read. My name is Thomas Reynolds, and I'm an assistant professor of English in the Department of English, Foreign Languages, and Cultural Studies. And we're really excited to have a number of readers, many of whom are students this time around, so that's exciting. We get to hear a lot of new voices reading a lot of their own work. So if you look inside, you'll see a list of our readers starts on the left-hand side there, and we'll just go without introductions. You can introduce yourself as you come up and begin to read, and it's this nice relaxed atmosphere. Enjoy yourself and applaud for everybody, and don't laugh at anyone if it's not supposed to be funny. Okay, so we'll kick it off with Dr. Allison Rittmeyer, who I introduced.
Thank you, Thomas, for that stellar introduction and for organizing this. I am not reading something of my own because life is hard. So I'm reading a poem by Matthew Dickman, and it's called Thanksgiving Poem, and there's a bad word. It's your warning. Thanksgiving Poem. A few days after the smoke cleared in the South and the muskets were hung in the dining rooms of the North, President Lincoln announced a national day of Thanksgiving so that every God-fearing citizen of these United States could sit down, leave the past for the dead, and have dinner. To think of a simpler time full of beads, corn, peace pipes, and the magical largesse of Plymouth Rock. Them Indians and them Pilgrims and them Minions. What a meal! All's forgiven every year, and that goes for my house too. Even if we don't cook at home, but lose ourselves in the Teutonic gastronomy of the Berlin House, which is really pronounced Das Berliner Hausen, with its Fräulein waitresses, and pasta the Germans call schnitzel. I had turkey and cabbage and schnitzel, and a glass of dark beer. It was loud in there, and the poor Germans, with all their poor politics behind them, were working overtime. Well, from one culture that almost wiped out another to another culture who almost wiped out one of the oldest in the world, I'd like to say, fucking hell, was it weird having dinner with you. Weird, but somehow exactly as I always imagined Thanksgiving to be, something beyond yams, and it was. My 93-year-old grandmother ate almost 4 desserts. My mother looked about to cry. My sister looked like she was going to ignite. The family sitting next to us were talking loudly about the Mormons, who they thought were a cult that worshipped space aliens. But they were Catholics and believed in eating flesh, drinking blood, and a magical zombie who walks out of a cave after being dead for 3 days. The woman taking their order looked like a pixie or a pagan with a long tattoo crawling out of her black skirt. The tattoo looked like an alphabet, some sentence she couldn't live without, some line from a song, and now she can't see it, but for a mirror, or a lover back there softly reading it aloud. Oh, Germany, I think you might have made clocks once, and that was nice. For our part, we set a table with the nice old Indians and ate corn on the cob, mashed potatoes, stuffing, eventually naming professional football teams after them so we could go on fighting forever. But I should be giving thanks instead of harping on about all the bad things in the world. So here's some thanks for hula hoops and baseball cards and the time in the 4th grade when one of the Schmidt twins kissed me behind an oak tree. And thanks to the Indian in the cupboard, which I read that year and still think about every September. Thanks to the lunch line ladies that gave me extra tater tots, and thanks to after-school programs like the ones my siblings and I attended, where we learned to jazzercise and stretch our little muscles. I want to thank Watermelon in the summer and Hitchcock movies in the winter, especially his film Rebecca, because now my brother and I say, you can never go back to Mandalay, but really we mean, I miss you, you live so far away. Thanks to coffee beans and coffee, the warm smell of steamed milk, and people putting cappuccinos to their mouths so that there is a moment like lovemaking when their mouths are covered in cream. Thanks for doorknobs and Post-it notes, for tire swings and corn dogs, for all the socks I have ever worn, and for all the people that I've chosen to be mean to, those who endured my small, unfeeling actions with such grace, and thanks as well to grace and God and the Holy Ghost of shopping malls where everything seems golden and sweet. Thanks and the giving of thanks. Dinner at the Berlin House was wonderful, even after we figured out how much everybody owed and what the tips should be. When we put on our coats and said Guten Nacht to the Hessians, Labanakt to the Lithuanians, and Ailatov to the Jews. A glass doll sitting on the window ledge opened her terrible eyes and then closed them again. Thank you.
Hi. I don't know how close to get. Tell me. Is that good? Okay. I'm Helene Rozovsky. This is a poem by W.S. Merwin called Thanks. Listen, with the night falling, we are saying thank you. We are stopping on the bridges to bow from the railings. We are running out of the glass rooms with our mouths full of food to look at the sky and say thank you. We are standing by the water, thanking it, standing by the windows, looking out in our directions. Back from a series of hospitals, back from a mugging. After funerals, we are saying thank you. After the news of the dead, whether or not we knew them, we are saying thank you. Over telephones, we are saying thank you. In doorways and in the backs of cars and in elevators, remembering wars and the police at the door and the beatings on stairs, we are saying thank you. In the banks, we are saying thank you. In the faces of the officials and the rich and of all who will never change, we go on saying thank you, thank you. With the animals dying around us, taking our feelings, we are saying thank you. With the forests falling faster than the minutes of our lives, we are saying thank you. With the words going out like cells of a brain, with the cities growing over us, we are saying thank you faster and faster. With nobody listening, we are saying thank you. Thank you, we are saying, and waving, dark though it is.
Hello, my name is Marcia Hardy. You all hear me okay here? Okay. I wrote this, and I'm sharing it with you. Be kind. Do you have a best friend, a very best friend? Well, I do. His name is Dale. He's a good old boy, a Southern Baptist minister's son from Tioga. Dale and I spent many hot summer days playing guitar in cutoffs, t-shirts, and tube tops at the gravel pit, deep in sand, water, and in love, listening to music on my cassette tape player. We spent cold winter nights at the all-night highway truck stop, sitting in the red vinyl corner booth holding hands. When we weren't holding hands, we were necking in the back seat of his car, in the parking lot, hidden behind the diner's dumpster, planning our escape. Our song was Bridge Over Troubled Waters by Simon and Garfunkel. Okay, you know the lyrics, right? Okay, you know them. When you're down and out and you need a friend, I'm on your side when times are rough and friends just can't be found. We played it over and over and over and over and over and over again. These were grasping, difficult, and needy times, knowing we would be there for each other times. We were best of friends. You see, Dale was going to rescue me. Our plan was to marry after high school graduation. We would live in a small house, and I was going to have 5 babies. Not 4, not 6, but 5. Now, mind you, we had never had sex before, but we were certain there was going to be no problem in that department. We would live in a loving, caring home with our children, rescued cats and dogs, and live happily ever after. So Dale gathered all of his courage and asked Papa for my hand in marriage. Papa looked at Dale, and he chuckled. He looked at Dale again, shook his head, and said, "Absolutely not. No, you cannot marry my daughter. You can't provide for her. You can't offer her anything she needs. You have nothing. You have nothing. And if you really cared for her, you wouldn't ask her to marry you." End of discussion. Papa, the attorney, walked away and left Dale, the shell-shocked, standing in the grand room. I knew my parents would never let me marry Dale. Soon after, Dale joined the Marines, was circumcised, and trucked off to Camp Pendleton before we could secretly tie the knot. We did try to tie the knot before he left for the West Coast. We really did try. I was 17 years old. Dale had been 18 for 1 month. and I didn't have my parents' written permission for a marriage license. So the Natchez, Mississippi judge said no, and he sent us away empty-handed and broken-hearted. 2 days later, Dale left for boot camp, and my parents deposited me in the girls' dorm at Louisiana College. Our plan to get married, however, never wavered. I was now 18 and I didn't need anyone's permission, but life happens. I met a guy who fed me steak and potatoes and promised to take care of me and keep me safe. So when Dale returned from boot camp, I was unavailable. We cried and said goodbye. He went to the Marines without a wife, and I went back to school and to my new boyfriend, Mark, the son of a Lutheran minister. Over the years, Dale and I kept in touch. We grew our relationship through marriages, divorces, loss of children, near-death experiences, and celebrations. When my husband Rick asked me to marry him, I had one condition, only one. I said, I will marry you, Patrick Hill Hardy, under one condition. I must be able to keep my best friend, Dale. I won't give him up. He is my friend, and he is my very, very best friend. My husband, compassionate and loving, said, yes, of course. And I said, then yes, of course, I will marry you. But every once in a while, every now and then, I think about Dale. The lyrics of a Garth Brooks song says it all for me. I consider it a poem of friendship and what ifs, and I share it with you now. I walked down to the park last night, warm Easter stirring up a soft moonlight, and my mind starts drifting to way back when. Yes, I do think about you every now and then. The other day I saw a car like you used to drive. I got a funny feeling down deep inside, and for the briefest moment I felt a smile again. Yes, I do think about you every now and then. I heard a song on the radio just yesterday, the same one you used to ask me to play, and when the song was over I said, play it again. Yes, I do think about you every now and then. I've been laying here all night listening to the rain, talking to my heart and trying to explain why sometimes I catch myself wondering what might have been. Yes, I do think about you every now and then, but I love my life, and I'll never trade between what you and me had and the life I've made. He's here and he's real, but you were too. And every once in a while I think about you. Yes, I really do. I think about you every now and then. Thank you.
I'm Mary Lynn Mornett, and I'm the University Archivist. And yes, archivists do get out of the mold and mildew records every now and then. I do get out. So what I'm doing tonight is I'm going to read a portion of a letter from a World War I located in the NSU's Cammie G. Henry Research Center's Melrose collection. The letter was sent to Cammie G. Henry, the owner of Melrose Plantation in Natchitoches Parish, by her son, Major Stephen G. Henry. Stephen was a major in the American Expeditionary Forces of World War I, commanding the 311th Company of the Machine Gun Battalion in France. The letter was written by Private First Class Russell Hughes soon after he realized peace was declared. Although the letter was originally intended for his family in the United States, the officers at the 311th headquarters in France found it such an outstanding letter that they typed it up and widely disseminated it. From Russell C. Hughes, Private First Class, 311th Company, Machine Gun Battalion, on the line in France, November 13th, 1918. Peace. Peace, that golden word of the ages, the sweetest word a pen can write. Meet the Liberty Division, of which the 311th Machine Gun Battalion is very, very important part in the full advance of the eastern hills of France, hard by the German borderline. It concluded a full 2 months within the range of Hun artillery in 2 tremendous smashing drives. The Liberty Division feels that it has performed its full share of winning the war. For weeks, that much muted sensation of hostilities had been bandied around the world. For weeks, the soldier had been hitting the Hun line hard, continuously, unremittingly, relentlessly. The whole world till then seemed full of noise and death and hate. As the titillating edge of that minute made its red mark on history, an immense, vibrant, palpitating silence crashed on the senses, a silence that the world hadn't experienced for 4 years. The war was over. Diplomats call it armistice, but the doughboy calls it peace, and why not? To a buck private hero, it means the end of the muddy, soul-searing advances to the death of the Boche. Rather, indeed, comes the vision of hotcakes, multitudinous and submerged in gravy and syrup and jelly, really live eggs, fried, boiled in any old way, and American pies and cake and candy, fancies of new civilian clothes and dainty, loving, and warm maidens galloped madly through his brain. Dreams of parades and feasts and theaters and clean shoes and hot baths and neckties and knobby hats and barbers' manipulations and auto rides and train rides and deep plush seats and beds and soft and amazing loving and bright lights and admiring relatives. All are in the pageant of the mind within the silence of peace. A doughboy pinched himself in the fog that night when the big silence fell to see if he was awake, and many a one breathed a prayer of thanks that it was over. Just thanks to God, not asking a thing. Here in Verdun, the war comes home again in a strong and different way. This vast city of the dead, unpeopled, save the soldiers, give one an eerie feeling as he passes through its empty, silent streets. Although its inhabitants are now flooding back, when we were there, shells were still dropping. Its city was the most peculiar phenomenon of the war I have yet seen. Many streets are intact, many buildings undamaged. It all brings forcefully a picture of what a big city in the U.S. would look like if struck by the steamroller of war. When will we go home? Within 24 hours after the start of the big silence, this question was asked approximately 1.5 million times. This is the typical doughboy part of it. All of us were satisfied to see the thing through, but now that it is over, the big desire for home comes thundering along inexorably. The war is over. By Russell C. Hughes, Private First Class, 311th Machine Gun Battalion of the AEF.
How y'all doing? My name is Andy Berseño. I brought my novel. I'm not going to read the whole thing, though. Don't worry. Oh, yeah, we'll just be here a few days. That'll be fine. No, this part, what you really need to know to understand this is that what this novel is about is something really terrible happening in a small town and what happens after that. And specifically, this is the sermon that the priest in town gives in this process. Where did I start? He knew that if ever one of these had to mean something, it would be this one. And so Father William decided to change the reading. Not the gospel, of course, but the first one, the one from the Old Testament. It was a passage read at Mass not a month ago, but he knew most wouldn't notice and that probably only Mrs. Fraunhelder would complain. Normally, when he preached in the past, he would read word for word from a series of cards on the pulpit. Though he had those cards with him, he decided without really making a decision to just close his eyes and speak. He said, "Today you heard the story of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. I remember them because they are, to my reckoning, the 3 most unfortunate individuals in the Old Testament. Now, of course, that's a strong statement, and you might say to me that the Lord saved them, that he protected them from the fires of the furnace, the fires so hot they claimed the lives of the would-be executioners. You could say to me that they remained unsinged, that they walked in the fire with the Holy Ghost, and that through them God and his faith came to many, and you'd be right. But I say to you that first they had to get there. They had to stand in the face of the furnace and be asked to do a very simple thing, to pretend to be something they weren't, to deny themselves. Probably that's a sin we've all committed. Said words we didn't mean because it got us where we needed to go. Now in the Bible it's 2 sentences. Nebuchadnezzar asked them, they say throw us in the fire. But I think there's a lot that's left out there. I think you have to remember that these men were slaves, stolen from their homeland, that they'd been away from home so long that even the writer of the Bible forgot their true names. You have to remember that Nebuchadnezzar had slain thousands for far, far less. You have to think about having been strangers for so long that only strangeness was familiar, and you have to think about how easy it would have been to bow, to prostrate, to tell yourself that on the inside, the real you, that you're not giving in. You hate this, but you are doing what you must to survive, and honestly, I'm not even sure God could blame you for it. Every part of you would call out to make not just the easy choice, but the logical one. But instead, these 3 men chose faith, chose their word and their bond and their God, knowing what it meant, or at least thinking they did. They made that choice as they watched the furnace get stoked until it was like to melt. I think about how at every moment they could have changed their mind, that it was even what the king would want. But for however long it took to prepare their death chamber, they held their faith like they were holding their breath. And then the miracle came. They were tied down and thrown into a kiln 7 times hotter than a blacksmith knew what to do with. And as they were thrown, their executioners caught flame and burned before their eyes. I do not know, and would say that no one really can, what that next moment was like, but I'll tell you this, and it's the point I've been trying to get to. How much miracle can you ask for? Isn't even the smallest kind more than what any of us deserve? So when they were in that fire, God saved them, sent his own spirit to unbind their hands, sure. But do you think that he included air conditioning? I wasn't there to know, but it seems like maybe Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked out of those flames alive. Yes, protected by the grace of God. Yes, but that doesn't mean anything like that they didn't feel the burn. Quite to the contrary, I would expect that this miracle hurt, that it hurt quite a bit, that they felt their flesh crying to blister and pop even as God wouldn't let it. The more I think about it, the more I pray to never be given a miracle, because I'm not sure that I'm man enough to be a saint. I pray that I never see the face of God in the fire. Never. I imagine that I am not the only one here who has taken to praying of late. I wanted to talk about this reading because that's just what this is, an unanswered prayer. This is what deliverance looks like. This is the face of grace and mercy. So when you pray, remember to thank God for all of everything. And when you suffer, as we all suffer, as we must, try, if you can, to be thankful, to wait in patience, and to bite down on your faith against the sometimes searing pain. Remember that every pang might be your miracle, and that love and help must always serve not your interest, not your plans, but the greater interest, the plans of God and God alone. He sat there, and he stared at us with a look that said, "I'm sorry," until we figured out the only word you could say was amen. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sadeem. Can everybody see me behind this thing? Barely visible. So I didn't have a Thanksgiving poem, so I brought the next best thing. I thought of what it is that I'm most grateful for in my life, and at the risk of sounding incredibly cheesy, I'm grateful to have love in my life. I'm grateful. So I brought a poem I'd like to share that is one of my favorite poems, and I brought an original poem. Don't worry, they're short. I'm going to start by my favorite poem. It's Jenny Kissed Me by Leigh Hunt. Jenny kissed me when we met, jumping from the chair she sat in. Time, you thief, who loved to get sweets into your list, put that in. Say I'm weary, say I'm sad, say that health and wealth have missed me. Say I'm growing old, but add, Jenny kissed me. My poem is titled Gravity. How did you fall in love with me? I ask. Like a shooting star, you answer. Indeed, you are a wish come true. Luckier than a shooting star you are, to those who keep their eyes open and are willing to receive. Like an apple, you fell unto a hungry head, and now it falls unto me to make heads and tails of this strong force that pulls me towards you. But every so often, true to my hunger, I forget the philosophy and heed my need to dig in.
So if Caitlin's not here, is Taylor here? No, they both chickened out. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go, Kimberly, you're next.
Okay, let me bring this down. Testing 1, 2, can you hear me? Good, all right. Okay, I'm going to read an original. This is called Recognition. Has anyone ever told you, you make them smile? And that quirky laugh you don't like makes a bad day worthwhile? That your limp hugs are like woven pieces of yarn, stitching together the pieces of a broken spirit, and your hand, battered and bruised as it may be, can extend toward others, firmly gripping them, their hopes, their dreams, reminding them of their own self-worth when they felt foregone. That the kindness within your shaken voice speaks joy into the ears of those wounded, encourages perseverance, and lifts those when they fall into pits of turmoil and despair. That the honesty within your tearful eyes shines and acts as a lighted lamp to those who've endured darkness for far too long. And the heart, once shattered, is eased by the softness of your touch, even when you're too exhausted to even move. Because of you, the fears and the pain are briefly forgotten. If no one has yet told you this, then let the honor be mine. To bless all of you who can be true unto others as you are to yourself, and bear the grievances of them among your own, without the need to see, acknowledge, or praise its existence. To your non-discriminating care, your beautiful hearts, and the hope that continues to overflow from your presence. An appreciation of the life and love you share within this world full of hurt and hatred. Finding one such as you is rare. Thank you for existing.
Excuse me, I'm Jim Mishler. And unlike Allison Ridmayer's story, a poem which had a bad word in it, mine has a good word, and that's brownies. However, here you go. However, I don't know if this is such a great word in this particular story because the title of the story is The Brownies of Death. Well, you can judge for yourselves. The dark, delicious aroma of brownies filled the kitchen as they cooled. Betty Compton put the kettle on the stove. Cheryl had given her an electric one for Mother's Day, but Betty preferred the old-fashioned way. The phone beeped. They don't ring anymore. Betty wished that they did. How did you know it was a phone without a good, solid ring? It was Cheryl, no surprise. Betty got few phone calls. Most were people trying to sell them timeshares, as if she had a lot of time. But she liked talking to the salesman, even though she never bought anything. This call was pleasantries and reports on the grandchildren. Matthew was graduating. Kimberly scored 20 points in basketball. Cheryl and Todd went to see a play Betty had never heard of, though from Cheryl's voice it evidently was quite famous. After a few minutes, Cheryl got to the point of her call. "No," said Betty. "But Mom, you've been alone since Dad died." "I'm not alone. There's Mrs. Rodriguez next door. She's by herself too, and Mom, you know we only want what's best for you." Betty sighed. She had heard those words before, and they were always an inadvertent lie. "I'm not going into a home," she said, "and I'm not moving in with you either. You have your own life and don't need me to be a burden." "Mom, you're not—" "Oh, that's the doorbell," Betty said. "I'm expecting someone. We can talk later. Love you." She hung up. The doorbell rang a second time. Betty was glad of the relief. She looked out the peephole. It was Death. Betty smiled and opened the door. "Hello again," she said. "You just can't keep away, can you?" Death smiled back. He looked very little like his pictures. His face was far from gaunt, maybe even a little bit chubby. And he didn't wear a ridiculous black robe and hood, just a regular business suit. Today his tie had seagulls on it. "You know I can't keep away from your brownies, Betty. I have a fresh batch for you. Water should be hot for tea, too." Something just hit me, I don't know what it was. "Make yourself at home." She went into the kitchen just as the kettle began to whistle. In the cupboard, there were tea bags. Lipton? No, not today. I don't have a good poker face. She found some Assam in the back of the cupboard. Death had turned on the TV when she returned. "It's not the same since he took off The Edge of Night," he said. Betty agreed. "It's all talk shows now. I get tired of them." She placed the brownies and tea on the coffee table in front of him. "How's your day been going?" Death shrugged. "The usual. That plane crash in Argentina kept me busy." "Was there a crash?" Betty asked. "You know I never watch the news. That's what old people do." Death bit into a brownie. "I'll tell you, these are the best. How do you get it so fudgy? Trade secret." "Were you on the phone when I rang?" Betty nodded. "Cheryl again. She doesn't like me living alone, afraid to fall down and won't be able to get up. She's been watching too much TV. She's your daughter. She cares about you." "I'm sure she does, but she's hinting I go into a home, and the last thing I want to do is hang around with old people." Death laughed. "You're 85. Old is a state of mind, not body." Death finished the last of the brownie and licked the crumbs off his fingers. "That was delightful, Betty. And this is Assam tea? Is that good? I can barely taste the difference." "It is, Betty. It's very good." Death got up and then put his hand on Betty's shoulder. "Thanks for all this. I need to get back to work." It was the moment that always made her feel low. "Can't you stay in for another cup? I mean, I'm sure people will be happy to wait a bit." "You'd think that, wouldn't you?" Death rarely got into the details of his work. Sometimes Betty wondered what it was like. But she had a feeling that if she asked, Death would go quiet and never come back. She had to make do with hints and implications. "Betty, can I ask a question?" "That was a question right there," Betty said, smiling. She loved to use that joke with Tom. Death gave a slight smile. "Why are you so kind to me? You know it's not going to change anything. When it's your time, I will have to come for you." "I know," Betty said. "How to explain? When Tom died, I was there for him." "So you have your family." "Cheryl is out in Denver. It would take hours to get to me. No one wants to die alone," said Betty. "Don't I know it?" She took his hand from her shoulder and kissed it. Then she looked into his dark eyes. "I know that whenever I go, I will see the face of my best friend." Betty never knew that Death could blush. "I need to go, Betty," he said, mumbling like a teenage boy after a girl said she liked him. "Keep in touch. Text me." She got up. I don't know if I want that number. She got up and led him to the door. "You know I don't have a cell phone." Death smiled. "Next Wednesday, then?" Betty nodded. "See you next Wednesday." She watched as he turned down the hallway. The door in apartment 3B across the hall opened and Miss Rodriguez poked her head out. "Was that Death?" she asked. "Yes," said Betty. "Sometimes he visits. He likes my brownies." Mrs. Rodriguez thought for a moment. "Do you think he likes cheesecake?"
I am Heather Salter-Drom, and this is my poem, Blessings Count, Count, Count. Why can't you count them, Lolly? You have a family who respects your religion and bisexuality. Your mama don't molly, and your daddy don't smoke no crack. My grandmother married at 14, a man who could barely read. They would have sacrificed all for your opportunities. Count them, count them. You are not contained. My arms sheltered your reveries. Now, daughter, lace up your thigh-high chucks. Rise up, 5, 6, 7, 8, dance. Defeat the fog of doubt before it gobbles you up.
Okay. I'm Julie Kane, and my poem is about my grandmother's little sister, Grace, who died young of alcoholism. And it's really a poem of thankfulness for escaping that fate, so far, at least. My great-aunt Grace. I would be lying where she lies if not for the grace of God. That is the price for trying to drink a whole case of God. She fell down a flight of stairs and fractured her skull. Complications of alcoholism, wrote the coroner in the space of God. What shame did she bring her sisters who could not claim the corpse? She lay in the morgue 6 months. Slow is the pace of God. When I was fat with cash, I tried to buy her a stone, forbidden in Potter's Field, which is not a place of God. I stare at the wedding photo, my great-aunt's little fox face, radiant, as if she had just glimpsed the face of God. She married a sailor, was saved from a waitressing job, but soon it was clear he was not from a race of gods. Straighten up, or you'll end up on Dover Street. So warned the nuns of Boston, who were the chaste of God. Her last address was a cold water flat on Dover Street, carried out on a stretcher drunk to the disgrace of God. I carry her disease as I carry her middle name, written on paper, not stone. It cannot be effaced by God. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Amber Anderson of Dr. Kane's 2090 class. And this is an original poem, Let Me Tell You. Let me tell you, I find it funny how when we met that first summer, we were both half naked in our uniforms. Ha, I make it sound like we were strippers. Lifeguarding is no different, right? You see, what had happened was, I don't know, I just wanted to recall the odd phrase that kept me thinking of you through the year until the next summer. With your deceptively red beard, you'd frustrate me beyond all comprehension. I did not understand chivalry. It was out of place and out of time. You would hold the door open and I'd get angry. You would insist upon carrying the heavy water cooler and I'd get angry. Why? Because I wanted to be independent. I did not want or need your help. Thank you very much. I had been broken, and I did not need or want you to put me back together like some pathetic Humpty Dumpty. But you didn't put me back together. After the summer camp week was up, you let me go for a year. I thank you. Let me tell you, I find it funny how when we met that next summer, I was still half naked, and you were still a unicorn in this world. I was not yet put back together, but this time you did not let me go for another year. You held my pieces and said I was beautiful. I did not believe you, and you did not try to fix my brokenness. You were simply there to open doors for me and be kind. Goodness knows I fought you to pay at restaurants. You let me put myself back together. My pieces are all now duct taped and glued. You hold me scarred and say I am beautiful. You are a rare breed, and for that, I thank your mother.
Okay, I'm Savannah Bassett. I'm also from Dr. Kane's 2090 class. I'm reading my original poem, Summer Regrets. It was the middle of summer. I was facing a new beginning when I met you. A blue-eyed devil who stole my heart, managing to turn everything upside down, skewing my views of a once bright world. I tried to repaint my world. How I began to regret that summer, everything I knew was positioned like a bottle turned upside down. The carbonated bubbles fizzed and swirled at the beginning, eventually going flat, emotionless, like my once joyous heart. The only emotion I felt was the pain inflicted by you. Why'd I even waste my time on you? I can't believe I thought of you as my world, a part of my heart. Maybe my brain was fried by the heat from the Louisiana summer, melted like gum left in the car, no longer solid like it was in the beginning. Stuck under the dashboard, my melted heart hung upside down. Was your life uprooted, flipped upside down? Of course not, because it's just you. You'd pulled the wool over my eyes. I was just a particle of dust in your world, or a nuisance like the humidity of summer. I wasn't even the blank space in your heart. I eventually healed my heart. I was able to shift from being upside down. Everything changed during the summer. I finally had forgot about you, erasing you from my freshly painted world. I was ready for a new beginning. How glorious was this beginning? My brand new life revived my tarnished heart. I was blinded by the beauty of my world. I was no longer upside down, waiting for the love I would never have got from you. I didn't regret this summer. I had been upside down, trying to nurture a broken heart. It was finally healed by the summer.
Good evening. My name is Krista Cagney. I am also in Dr. Kane's 2090 class, and this is an original poem. Memory Valley. Reflected through those amber mirrors, Ma and Abuela lined up. We watched eternity pass by. Echoes of smoky laughter whisper and tickle my mind as I watch this small amber mirror ripple in my large hands, slowly dissolving any past notion of forgetfulness or disbelief of the past into a relaxing sigh. Remember how we used to hide behind the piña sprouts and mango trees as they danced together and sang in harmony so somberly. Utilizing our small stature to our best advantage, we hid and watched on those lazy, clear, wondrous nights when the stars laughed with us, encouraging our mischievous games. Me? I remember those beautiful nights. I remember just by looking into the cup of amber liquid, memories of all of us in the valley. Thank you.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Hayden. I'm also part of Dr. Kane's poetry class, and I wrote something original about one of the loves of my life. And it's called Ode to All My Friends. Thank you, whiskey, the drink of springs that have given me kids 3. Though without you, I wouldn't have wives that require alimony. Yet you are here after the wives have left me, and for this I thank of thee. Thank you, beer. You have given me courage when I felt fear, but without you, perhaps happiness would be near. Yet you stayeth when all I can make was a tear, and for this I hold you dear. Thank you, rum. Without you, I would never feel numb. Though without you, I'd still be strong and young. Yet you were here after my body went dumb, and for this I blame you none. Thank you, alcohol. Without you, I would be in a state of awe. Though without you, I would not trip and fall, and yet you were there when I have gave up all. You're my only friend, alcohol.
Hello, my name is Keith Fleming. I'm in Dr. Kane's class, and I've written a acrostic sonnet for my son and a second poem that I'd like to read as well. For Zachary, my son. My life was changed one cold December. Youthful careless freedom did depart me, to in its place leave a joyful splendor. Remarkable, a favored fear is he. Ever will I trouble over his care, always quick to attend his minor woes. So sweet and silly, a child so fair, urging always for play, he loves and grows. Readily I must embrace his wild ways, ever into mischief my boy will run. Dear to me, then, he must be these fleeting days, surrendering dread to join in his fun. On now I shall temper fear by his light, no greater gift has ever blessed my sight. And I only decided to read this one because of the poem about death, or the story about death there, so. Woe is the misery of me, roaming alone eternally, shepherd to the soul set free, meddling in brevity. No companion shall I know, to no ending shall I go. I am damned in grief to sow, reaping those whom life let go. My presence is met with scorn, in gloom's shroud I do adorn, meeting only those forlorn, unseen but to those that mourn. I remain alone unloved, till in my grasp a soul is shoved, the fleeting meat indeed loved, found of my touch ungloved. Meeting me is wrought of plight, my course guides your fall of flight, to the fire or the light matters little in my sight. I crave repose from the lone, for it you will rot to bone, hunting friends from youth and crone, grim it is to be alone.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. My name is Tara. I'm from Dr. Kane's class. And this is an original piece called The Dweller's Escape. I am a prisoner of my own accord, trapped behind the cold bars. Emptiness. Tears are the stripes I wear. Fears are my restraints. You walk the yard as if it were my heart, carelessly trampling what's beneath. Like the grass, my heart has died, withered past salvation. Tethered by my chains of regret, remorse for my crimes of love, I hide in my dungeon of tragic emotions, with you as my warning. When night falls, you always come. Your shadow is thrown upon every wall, a grotesquely beautiful painting, illuminated by my love that burns so very bright. You hold the key to my shackles. My heart is my prison. You hold the key to my heart. But I am not your prisoner. I am my own. You have not chained me. I have chained you to me. Breathing deep, I close my eyes. I break my bonds and run. Run through the chambers of my heart, expel you like the phantom you are, ghost of my regret. My heart is mine. My sentence is done. Tears start to fall. Tears of joy, relief, gratitude. Finally, I'm free.
Does this contraption work? Okay. My name is Amber Martin, and I'm from Dr. Kane's class. Confessions. My life consists of clasping onto clay rocks that fold between my fingers and fall apart. Breathe. Breathing was never easy. I don't remember the scalpel or the way it pierced my newly born flesh. I wonder if my infant screams echoed down the hall, or if my screams were silent,
like my laughs, when air doesn't reach my lung. My Swiss cheese cyst expanding and begging to rupture, while my left lung allowed passage to the desired O. Cold still meets bare flesh, sweet-smelling gas and hummingbird liquid poured down my throat, my name called out and trying desperately to respond, with my eyes closed to black, until I watched an array of oranges, pinks, and yellows dance across my eyelids, my name echoing, then darkness. I'd like to think I was a brave 9-year-old, my hands tucked beneath my back, my ears picking up my choppy, diseased breathing, like something was lodged into my throat. Eyeing the small white L on the nightstand, tempting me with its bitter sweetness. "It'll help you breathe," says a woman in the white coat, her tall, slim form staring down at me. I hated medicine and needles, these inventions that were supposed to fulfill my childhood wishes of wanting to breathe. I just wanted to breathe. So I laid in bed, my palms sweaty and tingling from lying beneath me, and counted 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3. I was in a garden filled with roses and azaleas, watching a white swing hanging from a branch, and butterflies flying and turning into fairies, while snapdragons bent to the commands of the wind. There was a time when my body was frail and too slim, when my hair was the color of wheat and my skin was as white as a sheet. Then they cracked the bones in my chest and placed the cold steel, lifting my sternum till bone mended, and the cold foreign object was removed, leaving behind new wounds. I laid in a frigid, cold room, the only warmth coming from the far left window, my hair laid out and, in golden waves, needles pressed beneath my flesh, my mouth dry like hot dirt in summer.
Hey, my name is. Okay, this is hard. My name is Jerry Mosley. One of Dr. King's students. I call this poem "Used to Be Mine." You have nothing to fear if you have nothing to hide. Her secrets let us here, covered in blood outside. It's the ones we love most who end up hurting us. Love will have you blind, ignoring obvious signs. Stop looking. You might see things you wish you never found. So I'm burying him too, 6 feet on the ground. Heartbreaks hurt so much I'm crying over the dead body of the woman who used to be mine.
I'm Rayleigh Pelletieri, and I'm one of Dr. Kane's students. My poem, it's an original poem, is titled Thank You. Thank you to the boy who treated me like a toy, played me so very well as he put me under a spell. Thank you for my naivety, believing love to be free. Never knew I'd have to pay with my pain to walk away. Thank you for the girl who came in and decimated my world. Stole my man and my heart too, but then I realized cheating's all he'll ever do. Thank you for that man's heart being so worthless right from the very start. I wish before that I had knew. Nonetheless, I learned my lesson, so thank you.
Hey, I'm Meredith Prohaska. My poem is called Writing Prompt. Write about the day when you were 4, when the sky was black and purple and streaked with white light as the storm came through over the barren cornfield and the geese flew away in fear. Write about the way your mother called to you, begging you to come home, to come back, and how it is just the same as now, as she calls you to come home, to come back, because what lies ahead scares her. But you are just too far in the distance to care about her cries as they blur into the screeches of frightened birds. Write about the day you almost drowned, 7 years old, not scared of anything, including the water you could barely swim in. Write about the way the sun glistened over the blue, blue water while you let yourself be engulfed in the beauty. And how you still weren't scared. You weren't scared about dying, and you almost wish they didn't see you, didn't pull you to the concrete safety of land outside the pool because you wanted to feel that kind of light. Write about the moment he said he loved you, in the pitch black dark of your car in his driveway, and he waited with shaky hands, shaky heart, to hear those words repeated back. Write about the way your hands found his as you repeated those words, and write about the kiss of a lifetime just after they left your lips. Write about the weight of fearlessness. Write about the car crash 2 years ago, where you screamed, oh God," because there was nothing left to say, and you finally knew fear, because think of your mother, think of her grief, think of the boy you will no longer get to love. Write about the way your head hit the airbag as the car hit the railing, and how good being scared felt when it was over, when adrenaline filled you, and fear was the thing that kept you alive. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Juan Thompson, and I'm, part of the class. Mine is titled Mother. Admittedly, sometimes we'll have an issue, but I always miss you. Especially when I'm in school, trying to be less of a fool. Although weekends I may waver. Don't worry, I'm fine. I normally stay in line. For my goals to stay intact, my actions must be exact. I know because you taught me so. Politeness feels innate, plus I'll never be irate. With hard moments or everyday opponents, patience among others virtue. Lessons carried to heart, and these teachings are only a start for all the things you've done. Also, the times that weren't fun, I love it all the same. Thank you, dear mother, for being like no other, and for trying the most about you, I'll boast. Trust that it's true. In my sincerity, you've got a little more clarity.
Hello, my name is Ethan Van Orpen, and this is a poem called Drowning. Have you ever gotten lost in the rain? Several times I found myself there. Trouble, trouble, I hear the disdain. No, I couldn't possibly explain. Once again, they tell me my name, as if they would even care, or even think to take a share of my blame. I wouldn't expect them to, it's my name. Why couldn't you be like Sean, they said on that fateful dawn? Sorry, that really doesn't seem fair. Not all of us can be perfect. Yes, of course you were there. It's not like you could have stopped them. Their pitiful prances, their graveyard glances. Oh, that girl with the velvet hair. How she dances, how she dances. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. I'm Steph. I'm in Dr. Kane's class, and I'm the first BAPS member that will be going. Heyo! My title was Thanksgiving. I slept in the back seat of my father's white truck, despite the rocky roads, the occasional twists and turns, the moves that moves me left to right, front to back. My parents talking about nothing in particular while driving us back to familiar territory. Where my aunts and uncles in their brew are, it's not long before we arrive. Aunts and uncles are scattered about, some cooking, some setting up, and a few just sipping beer while shit talking. My cousins are attending to their kids while talking about work and relationships. My grandmother is going about setting up her pies. I'm grateful she left her hyper mud at home, but I'm also grateful that she has the mud, especially since my grandfather has long passed. I miss him. It's not long before food is done. I hit the honey glazed ham and the marshmallow yams and the butter rolls like I always do. I'd avoid my mom's attempt to get me to eat that disaster called stuffing. Some things never change. After prayer is said, the room fills up with stories and laughter, rolling my eyes at the antics of certain family members, the usual suspects. Eventually, time winds down and slowly people start to leave with promises of meeting up for Christmas. On the way back home, before I get ready to sink into another deep sleep, I say, Happy Thanksgiving, Papa Nate. Happy Thanksgiving, Granny.
Hello, how y'all doing today? I'm Dee Atkins. In Dr. Kane's class, of course, like everyone else who just went up here. I'm also co-president of Brainiac's Poetry Society. I don't have a title, but I never do, so here we go. I give thanks to the joy in my life. The happiest parts of me are often colored red, passionate. I'm forever in a cycle trying to battle this gift. The beauty of it is that it works for me. The beauty of it is that it works for me. Pains me to put down my pen, drags me back to those blue lines on my notebooks when I've forgotten to thank the ink before it dries. My heart cries, thank you for listening. After every poetic verse she pours on stage, she loves you for hearing her cries and calling them as you see them. Thank you, says my mind. As each metaphor sits strategically in place to arouse your mind, she is asking you for a reaction. Your cheers means that you want more of her, and she will give into the urge to write to you daily, casting out my heart's voice to speak slowly, plan her pauses and keep her drifting, almost like she were only dreaming of a stage. My soul ask only for a blessing of the manuscript before publication. Do not let the world drag me from you, she says. Keep me guarded like your favorite punchlines, consistent with the meter, letting her say thank you when I don't lose myself to the rhythm. She bows her head in thanks, and I raise my head from the page and utter the words I write daily. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Meg, and I'm in Dr. Kane's poetry class, and also BAPS, but this is not a poem, this is a story. I had a few poems prepared for today, but I wrote this morning for Dr. Drom's Proust class, and I told him about Fall Read, and he was like, no, you have to read this at Fall Read, because my wife's gonna be there. I don't really know how this pertains to you, but why not? So this is kind of a bit about my life from the perspective of my grandpa. My granddaughter spoke to everyone but me. I remember her gradual growing up as a blur, a series of events in which I was not particularly included, nor purposely excluded from. She kept me close enough to feel like an audience member in the front row of her movie. I could never interfere, but I was engaged enough to feel like she had tried to keep me around. My granddaughter spoke to everyone but me, and somehow managed to form a relationship with me anyways. She kept me in a designated space when visiting my home. I would wait patiently in my chair as she visited with her grandmother, mother, and extra family members. Had I gotten up to join, she would have fled into an empty room in my house full of vacancy. I remained in my chair, my assigned space, and waited for her boredom to sink in. My granddaughter seldom spoke with me, but often put on a show as a substitute for our language. She would grow tired of the family shenanigans in the kitchen, glance my way — I always watched TV to pass the time — and slowly glide towards the shelf of books and trinkets next to my chair. Each item on the shelf made her eyes form a new expression. She stroked the glass statues of animals, cupped the washi eggs in her hands, ran her fingers down the pages of closed books. My granddaughter would rarely offer me her voice, but danced around to say hello. I remember her complete avoidance of eye contact as she chose an item from the shelf and began to move around the living room. The voices of the kitchen would blend together with the noise from the TV, and she utilized their combined rhythm as her partner. She twirled slowly, absent-mindedly, often looking at the ceiling or ground. She never left the space in front of my chair. Eventually, she would lull herself to sleep and creep her way to the carpet floor. She would close her eyes and let go of her chosen object, only to wake up when it was time to leave. My granddaughter spoke to everyone but me, and this got worse after she was not 6 years old anymore. I had a stroke and could no longer speak much myself. At least I was told no one understood me. She grew frightened of me. She distanced our space more often. I remember feeling like it was not on purpose. The jokes I tried to tell her made her take a step backwards every time. I would begin them, end them, and she would only respond with a nod and more distance. My granddaughter never talked to me, and I realized how careful she made herself, not to take up too much space, not to look at me for too long, not to speak up. I did not know what to do. I did not know how to open our silent communication again. What barriers could I break down for us when she was a child and I couldn't even hold a hammer? My granddaughter rarely spoke with me, but began to offer me looks when she turned 13. Anytime she came to visit, she shared with me a raising of eyebrows, a gaze of, "How ridiculous is our family?" An eyes-locked moment that meant to say, "I get it. I'm sorry we cannot say more." Of course, she did not get it at 13, but she tried. My granddaughter often only used her eyes to exchange words with me, but tried to mend our connection with further favors. From this age to the end, she became in charge of my walker. After a drive, it would be her waiting with a hand and the unfolded walker next to the passenger seat door. The moments between my sitting down and standing up were the only time she did not try to meet eyes with me. These looks had evolved into sarcastic smirks and trading of thoughts like, "Well, here we are again. I'm still a mess from the stroke and you're still as timid as ever." Her eyes sometimes said to me, "Isn't this hilarious bullshit?" Though that was a look I only got in church. My granddaughter often communicated with me through her expressions, but I remember the last time she had too many fears to say anything with her face. From the hospital bed, my eyes reached to catch hers. I thought, "Look at me. I have something funny to offer you. Look at me. I want to tell you that this room has the dumbest colors I've ever seen." "How pleasant," I wanted to remark. But my wife interrupted me, asking if I wanted to pray. I rolled my eyes, and my granddaughter sat down next to me, refusing to look anywhere but out the tiny window. My granddaughter and I had our own language outside of words, and the last thing I remember is her hand grabbing mine, trying to explain through this action that she just couldn't give her eyes to me anymore. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas Jones, and while I am not a part of Dr. Kane's 2090 class, I am a part of her 2110 class, and Ms. Rosowski's 2070, so I have really good teachers. Did I say my name? Okay, my name is Nicholas Jones, if I didn't say that already. I'm sorry, I lose track of what I'm saying. I'm going to read for you 2 poems tonight, and before I read them, I want to preface this with every year of my life as I go forward, I feel like I learn something with every age I turn. And in my 19th year, I think I've learned most that it's so easy to forget to be thankful for something while you still have it. And when you're faced with losing it, you all of a sudden realize that you've let a lot of time go by and you didn't appreciate things like you should. So this first poem is called One Eye Sees. This is the first poem I've ever written. It was written September 12th, 2007. If one eye sees only good and the other only bad, if one eye sees only happy and the other only sad, if one eye sees through teardrops that fall like stormy rain, will the one that looks through glory blind the one that takes in pain? Can humanity strengthen one eye so that vision's finally clear? And if that vision is restored, will it wash away the tears? Can I be sure of happiness if the good outweighs the bad? And will I ever fulfill the life I saw and the childhood dreams I had? The answers to these questions that run wild through my mind will reach me in my Savior's world, a world I'll someday find. That was my first. And my second poem I would like to dedicate to my godmother, Louise Bass, who's currently fighting her own battle at the moment. This is written by her side, written October 31st, 2015. Hold me and let me rest for just a little while longer. It's dark and rather cold outside, and I'd rather sit here with you. I'm not ready just yet. There's so many things I still need to know, like how to clean my room and where do balloons go. Tell me about where you've been, what you've always wanted to do, and what your dreams were when life was still new. What does God tell you when you pray and when you sleep? And while you contemplate your answer, I'll lay my head upon your shoulder and weep. Wipe the tears from my eyes when I look to the sky, hoping to find an answer there when I don't even know what to ask or why. Tell me where you're going, that you'll save a spot for me, and how fearless you are as you face eternity. I know now he has not forgotten you, and neither have I. For the day will come, you will fly, and I will cry and cry and cry, but as the years pass me by, I will smile every once in a while for you. You told me when I was little that God would never give me anything that I couldn't handle, so I promise I'll try. And for some reason, he thinks I'm ready to walk down this road alone without you holding my hand. But for now, while I'm here, please hold me. Please hold me because I'm still your baby for just a little while longer.
Hello everybody, my name is Nakia Thornton and I'm a member of BEPS. The poem that I'll be reading is untitled, but the inspiration behind it was that I always box my emotions up, and I'm usually a person that's happy for everybody else, and I never really give myself time to grieve or cry, and any bad memory, anything that happened, I push it to the back. And I went to the river and saw that the water was high, and I decided to go out and put my feet in the water, and it inspired this poem and brought out all those emotions that I tried to push to the back. She sat by the river studying it. Staring at her reflection, she notices that this is her. Their tears flow like the river. Their heart flows like the river. Her thoughts flow like it. The river, she notices, is peaceful and pure, but sometimes can be destructive when a storm is present. But she thinks it's for the best. Because without the storm, she thinks, everything will remain at the bottom. There will be no refreshing, no bringing in of new nutrients. She reaches forward to let her hands feel it, to feel the movement of the river so that she can become it, to feel the movement of the river so that she can understand herself, to understand that she can nourish herself just as the river does. A tear falls into the river, rippling. The river hears her, she noticed. The river hears her, she noticed. No. Don't put your points on the phone. The river hears her, she noticed. She feels that the river is beckoning her tears, saying let them flow. You'll be stuck for life if you hold them back any longer. Your heart will cry and your burdens will only grow stronger. So let them flow.
Hello, how y'all doing today? My name is Tiane Hangs Davis, and I'm with BAPS, and the name of my piece is called Lesson Learned. Mama always told me love is like a greenhouse gas. It's unavoidable, polluting even the most prideful people, leaving nothing until it breaks like glaciers, raining down like waterfalls, falling from its graces, landing on skin, knees, and dirty palms. See, love has no forgiveness. It pushes down on you like gravity holds us down to Mother Earth, photosynthesizing your thoughts until they become unhealthy. It eats at your insecurities. I told my mama that love can't corrode the corrupted. Too bad I'm not a lover, I'm a fighter, and she slapped me. So lesson learned.
Hey everyone, my name is Kevin Shorter and I'm also in BAPS. The title of my poem is Thankful for Your Spirit. Dear Grandma, where'd you go? You promised you'd be there when I awoke from my slumber. You promised that you'd never leave. I can't forgive you for it, and what's so hard to realize is that you're not coming back. But I'm thankful for the time I got to spend with you. The conversations we used to hold, the stories you used to tell me, the endless fun we had, the advice you gave me, but most of all, I'm thankful for your spirit. You were my biggest cheerleader, not cheering me on, but cheering me up to lead through life. You're my North Star. You're my inspiration. You've inspired growth. I'm not the man I want to be yet, but I'm not the little kid you want to self-praise. I'm gonna succeed for you. And when I accomplish your goal of having a grandchild with a college degree, when I reach that degree of success, I'll jump to the heavens and let you hold on to my diploma. Look at what we did, Grandma. People tend to tell me they can't figure me out. There's a reason for that. See, I always told my exes I'd leave such an imprint on their heart that the next person they'd entertain would have to know me just to know them. It's true. It's sad. People don't know you, and you're the reason for me, so they can't possibly think they know me. Your spirit resides deep in my soul. It's written in my genetic code, Grandma. You're more than a memory, and I'm thankful for your spirit. It drives me. And although this letter won't make it to you where you are, I'd like to let you know that I'm thankful. You're not forgotten. And this won't be the last letter I address to you. This isn't the end, so I'll leave it open. This is open-ended letter number 310.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm Matthew Mims. I'm the co-president of the Brainiacs Poetry Society as well. And the piece that I'm doing this evening is entitled Dream Catch Her. Somebody stole my dream. Could you believe? I understand how hurt I am because I can't remember a thing. A smooth criminal. One that can send shots in distress covered in subliminals, give me back my mental. so I can understand how love feels. Lay next to me and take my breath away from me. Every position changes, but we stay the same like windmills, for better or worse. A curse of amnesia I wish to reverse. This hurts more than the common mistake. If sunshine can bring better days, I'd pave a road of tears unto the night to take the pain away. Questions continuously contemplate. Are you the east that can rest on my chest when the nighttime awaits? Or would 1,000 times good nights suffice for the wrongs that we right through the arguments and fights? That's life, attached with no receipt. On the loneliest, rainiest nights I like to creep. Allow me to operate in your dreams like they were meant for me. Manifesting positions only I can fathom. From this world to the fetus we all shall gather. A mansion in the swamps with a pumpkin still for a carriage. Which one of the 64 do you claim as your parish? I'd be everything radicals vastly inquire, leveling lectures education. Down before the emancipation documented any black man's imagination, or conjured upon a bus, or a march, a hurdle, or a confused distinctive voice. I chose to live forever, not by choice. Rehearsing my return with a movement, an ensemble to bring back my true love when the moon is lantern lit and shadows face the east, when the earth cracks open with a mouth as wide as the depth of the sea. Call upon my name and I shall be, with a boatload of dreams and wine to dine and bread to eat. The life of a sailor is captivating. I arrive out of the marsh where tomorrow is now and here is later. Kaleidoscope dreams make everything seem fabricated, but when you're as beautiful as her, she gives me the confidence that I could sell a spaceship. She is my starship, my northern light, the one that I could call on when things go bump of the night. Somebody stole my dream. Luckily it was you, but you just don't know it yet, and I wish it were true.
I'm Lisa Abney. This is a short story that is a departure from what I usually write, so we'll see. And I'll set my timer because it'll go too long if I don't. Okay. The name of the story is called The Corporate Motto. Todd looked at his watch impatiently as he stood in the TSA pre-check line. His brain didn't really register the time. He used his phone for timekeeping more than his watch. It was a habit really glancing at his arm. Hal, his boss, had called him last night and told him he'd be going to Phoenix in the morning, told him he'd be going to Phoenix tomorrow, which was by now today, instead of his colleague, Fang. Hal told Todd that Fang had been walking through the airport while texting and had been hit by one of those big carts. You know, the kind where they stack a bunch of fatties, old people, and cripples to ride through the airport. Score another sensitivity point for Hal, Todd thought. Hal offended most people he met all the time. He was surprised he hadn't rolled out his favorite nickname for Todd, Tadpole, in the call. Fang's real name was Fangelosi, and Bob Desormeaux, another salesman, had been given the moniker Daisy. Maybe Hal had his own occupation with nicknames because his name was Howard Allen Latham V, and he couldn't be Junior or Trey, so he became Hal. Hal continued, "Yeah, Fang's out. He's hurt pretty bad. Didn't see the cart coming, so he landed on his head when he got hit, and now he's unconscious in the hospital, brain bleed. You gotta go to Phoenix now." Todd was sorry about Fang, the poor bastard. Fang was a little higher on the food chain than Todd, but he liked him despite that. Todd thought about Fang lying in the hospital as he shoved his brief pack onto the security scan deck. "Damn it," he uttered under his breath. There were 3 big signs in the pre-check lines that clearly state you don't have to undress in these lines. Yet here was Mama, removing her 1-quart bag, her shoes, her sweater. Todd only had about 40 minutes to get to the gate before the plane departed, which really meant that he had about 18 minutes to get to his gate. 17, no 16. He glanced at his phone, frustrated. Mama was reloading her bag since she had removed everything practically. He could feel his ire rising. He flinched, realizing he was becoming as intolerant as Hal. He wanted to scream at the old woman. His phone was vibrating and pinging. People were texting about Fang, and the capital partners were sending contracts and emails, more pinging. "Damn it," he uttered again as he stood in the pre-check hell. His flight, because it was booked late, took him through outer Mongolia to get to Phoenix. and it involved two pretty tight layovers, one in Salt Lake City and one in San Francisco. Who the hell goes to San Francisco to get to Phoenix? He shook his head as he thought of the mess that his day was becoming. He escaped the pre-check line and made his way through the main concourse. He was tempted to glance at his phone to check the time again, but after Fang's accident, he thought he'd better wait. He looked at the gate list as he walked by. B6 was where he was headed. It was a long way down the concourse. Tick, tick, tick. He felt the minutes going by. All he could hear was Hal's company motto echoing in his head. Tadpole, time and tide, wait for no man. Speed it up. He only had 12 minutes to get to the gate, buy his overpriced bottle of water that couldn't be carried through the pre-check line, and shoehorn his 6'4" frame into a vastly undersized plane seat. He made it to the gate as the attendant called the group before his to board. As he moved to the scanning station, he pondered which of the human detritus would be his seatmate. He scanned first, looking at the small children and babies who hadn't pre-boarded. He didn't really mind kids. He didn't like screaming kids, and he really loathed chair-kicking kids whose parents had no regard for other passengers. He went back to scanning the crowd. He spied a blonde woman who reminded him of Carrie. Carrie was a little taller and a little prettier. He watched her as she boarded and settled. She ordered a glass of wine from the first-class attendant. He could see her through the mesh curtain which divided the haves and the have-nots. He thought about Carrie. He really couldn't figure out how he'd lost her, but he knew it was gone for good. His facility for choosing appropriate partners had decreased precipitously after he'd lost Carrie. Merritt, his last conquest, was a Welsh girl who was dark and mysterious. Merritt could get under his skin in ways no one else had. Toward the end, she played pranks on him which had too much of an edge to them for his liking, and her exit from his life had been acrimonious, though he still ran into her from time to time at business events when she would stealthily sneak up behind him and grab him by the back of the neck and startle him, and he would shriek, and she would laugh and give him a cold stare. After sprinting to his last flight, he finally made his connection in San Francisco and settled in for the last leg. He had been flying for hours and was stiff from sitting too long, so when they hit the ground, he almost leapt from his chair to stretch. He rounded up his brief pack and headed down the concourse to the rental car counters. He walked quickly. Again, he didn't have much time to make his meeting. He rented a car and clutched his keys tightly as he entered the parking garage stairwell. He'd glanced at the elevators. Too slow. In the stairwell, he felt a strange presence. He looked over his shoulder uneasily, and just then he felt a steel grasp on the back of his neck, and he shrieked. Merritt laughed and drew back her hard-sided cosmetic case and hit him on the right temple. He fell backwards, tumbled down the stairs, bumped his head on multiple steps. His phone flew from his hand. Merritt laughed, and she turned and uttered, "Time and tide, wait for no man, Tadpole." Not really a Thanksgiving poem.
Hi, I'm Rondo Keel, and I have 4 poems to read, but they're very short. The first one is not original. But it's a poem that expresses a gratitude of a kind to God. It's by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Some of you may know this poem. And just to preface it, you'll enjoy it a lot more if you've never read it, if I just briefly say that what the point of the poem is and what some of the images are in it. The point of the poem is just that it's remarkable that God, who's perfect and beyond change, made such a weird world, right, with so many varied things in it. So the poet begins by celebrating the variety. He mentions skies of couple color, right? So think of a sunset where there's so many different kinds of color in the sky. And compares it to a cow. You can think of a cow that's got very mottled color on it. He mentions the skin of trout, right? How they have these little moles on them. The wings of birds, right? They're multicolored. And then he gives an image which is wonderful for people like us who live in the age of Google Maps. If you zoom in on farmland, you notice that you'll see that you have different kinds of crops and different shapes and different, right? He's got an image like that. And one of my favorite images he gives is, in case you've ever known a tradesman like a plumber or a carpenter, and how their toolboxes are, sometimes things are neat, but mostly there's these odd little doohickeys in there, right? My father was a mechanic, and I remember going, what in the world would this do to a car, It looked like a torture device. So here's the poem called Pied Beauty by the magnificent Gerard Manley Hopkins. Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of couple color as a brinded cow, for rose moles all in stipple upon trout that swim, fresh fire-coal chestnut falls, finches' wings, landscape plotted and pieced, fold, fallow, and plow, and all trades, their gear and tackle and trim. All things counter, original, spare, strange. Whatever is fickle, freckled, who knows how? With swift, slow, sweet, sour, a dazzle dim, he fathers forth whose beauty is past change. Praise him. The next poem is one that is a thankful poem about thankfulness for trust between friends. This is also not an original poem, but a translation I did of a poem by Catullus. So this is Catullus 102. If ever one friend confided to another, trusting, as to one whose faith was deeply known and proved, you'll find that I am such a one too. No less true, no less committed, Sarah, to that sacred right of sharing. Think me silent with your secrets, as a child whom God strikes mute. And two original poems. One is, again, these are very short. This one is quite silly. There was a time when I was a bachelor. I was between wives for a while. And during this time, I lived in such squalor that I think I was overqualified for an episode of Hoarders. And things got so bad that almost nothing could survive in the house, not even insects. And in fact, a friend that I had made in my solitude and bad housekeeping, who was a cockroach, one day turned up dead. I think he couldn't survive the conditions, and so I wrote a poem for him. So I guess it's a threnody. I suppose it's a poem of mourning. So I was grateful for my friend, although he's gone. It's called Footprints in the Butter. I rise, rinse sleep from my eyes, stumble to the kitchen for some toast. Behold, in the corner a tiny corpse, a cockroach friend whom I adored, legs up on the floor. He was wont to scamper on each time the kitchen lights were struck, but the spirit animating those romps is gone, and I am left to sweep him up. I will miss his companionship, the way his antennae used to twitch. Even when he hid away, avoiding me in break of day, I searched the room for signs of life, my prince of pantry, my kitchen knight. Your footprints in the butter served to remind me that I was not alone. Though now, alas, I know I am, a last lost friend am so. And finally, an original poem, again, in gratitude to God for making the world. Creation is a vapor trail left by the sweep of God's hand, where galaxies and stars turn a sunbeam dust dance. Meanwhile, particles smaller still wake in his wake, reflect and partake. Each thing shines its own way.
a long name close to the end. It's Una's Bitkovskas, but I don't even know. So I was thinking about the theme for this year and being thankful, and so I looked at everything I've written, and I noticed that I'm remiss. I have nothing that I've written that's thankful. I'm not thankful or grateful for anything. Something I'm going to work on. And then I thought, well, I'll be clever, and I'll be, full of whimsy, and I'll go to the internet and find something great and clever. And I don't know, I just couldn't find anything that didn't have a lot of fuck in it. And then Allison told me that we were going to be on the radio. So I edited that idea down and then thought, what could I talk about? I couldn't talk about something I'd written, and I couldn't say fuck, which limits me. And so then I started thinking about the idea of being thankful and what that meant right now to us all for very different reasons, whether it's coming into the holiday season or everything that's going on in the world. I thought about that old tradition of that your parents always make you do, and some of we've hit on tonight, of talking about what we're thankful for, having that moment, right before you eat that you really want to be over with because you really only want to eat. And everyone is thankful for something. So tonight, instead of doing anything long, I actually just found some really nice quotes that I thought talked about being thankful or gratitude or something that maybe we should be thankful for. But hell, I don't know. Maybe you're not thankful at all. Like, obviously, I'm not. So I'm going to do that. So Albert Schweitzer once said, "In everyone's life at some time, our inner fire goes out. It is then burst into flame by an encounter with another human being. We should all be thankful for those people who rekindle the inner spirit." He also said, "You must learn to understand the secret of gratitude. It is more than just so-called virtue. It is revealed to you in a mysterious law of existence. In obedience to it, we have to fulfill our destiny." Nietzsche, he was a wise one. He was off to say, "The essence of all beautiful art and all great art is gratitude." William Arthur Ward once said, "Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and then not giving it." Elizabeth Carter, "Remember that not to be happy is to not be grateful." And because everybody should always carry a copy of The Essential Guide to Being an Adult, Grown-Ups Through the Little Prince, I'll give you some wisdom from that as well. In giving, you are throwing a bridge across the chasm of solitude. If I summon up those memories that have left with me an enduring savor, if I draw up the balance sheet of the hours in my life that have truly counted, surely I find only those that no wealth could have procured for me. He who is different from me does not impoverish me. He enriches me. Our unity in something higher than ourselves, in man, for no man seeks to hear his own echo or to find his own reflection in the glass. So they say. I can be bound to no man except those to whom I give. I understand no men except those to whom I am bound. So I am thankful for this evening. And I'm thankful for y'all.
Once again, thank you all for being here. With the spirit, with the title that I chose, of course, for the fall read, Give Thanks, I wrote a poem entitled Creatively Give Thanks. I want to say a couple of things really quickly. When I met Matthew Mims, the young co-president of our BAPS poetry group, I knew about this much about slam and spoken word poetry. And now I know about this much. But I've been promising I would try to write a poem though tonight he crushed it, which leaves me kind of in a giant shadow. So please, Matt, give me coaching lessons later. Here we go. Oh, and also I'll quote from a letter that is about the very first Thanksgiving from 1621. It was a letter that, like our World War I letter, was found to be so brilliant that it was later facsimiled and distributed throughout England and America to kind of describe this event. So, give thanks. Thine inspiration overflows, the cornucopia cannot hold, so full am I, stuffed for the occasion, filled by divine words, praising for those who have come before, and for that I give thanks. 1621, a letter to a friend, E.W. writes, and God be praised, our harvest being gotten in. Our governor sent 4 men on fowling so that we might rejoice together. Give thanks. One man to another, these things I thought good to let you understand, that you might on our behalf give God thanks, who hath dealt so favorably with us. Give thanks. To that thing bigger than you, that spirit in the sky or hiding deep inside, apple of your eye, everlasting light, the reason we must die, whatever makes you cry, give thanks. For that which nourishes you, the food and the drink, the thoughts that you think, to grow and not shrink, to push to the brink, on the paper you ink, give thanks. To the friends who will greet you, who answer your letters, make you feel better, who sit down to the table willing and able, who lift up his glass and praise to your past, give thanks. But what have you to be thankful for? Explosions of color are dying, the heavens falling and crying, leave us to whine, no matter what we're trying, hot tempers are frying, hear the world sighing, give thanks. Your nurture has been denatured. Bombs and falling towers, babes who cry for hours, we've lost our holy powers, lost all of what was ours. The sweet are now the sours, the question getting dour. Give thanks. Pilgrims killing Wampanoag, the story isn't new. Sisters killing brothers, fathers killing mothers, broken-hearted killing lovers. We're killing one another for ourselves, not each other. So why even bother to say, give thanks? So you say, I got nothing left to give. Give thanks. You always take, but you don't give. Give thanks. It's too damn hard to give. Give thanks. You've forsaken what he gives. Give thanks. So I want to remind you to take a pause and be grateful to the ones that made you, for the life they give you, to the people who love you, for the food that they feed you, and the chances they give you to give thanks. And I want to thank you for being together today to rejoice, for reading and writing and finding a voice, for smiling and laughing. Our harvest is in, for praising the work and the life we live in, for being the best or even worst you, for love and for life, and remembering to give thanks. So really quickly, I just want to thank the other members of the event committee, Charlene LeBrun, Allison Rittmayer, and Heather Salter-Drum, and also help from our media people, Courtney Page, who's here because of David Antilli, Leslie Grusbeck, who arranged our space, Dr. Mishler, who is our department head, Becky Stevens, who is our administrative assistant, and Daniel Fields, who is director of student media. And then, of course, we want to thank our department and Kappa for hosting us when the library is under renovations, our normal site. The Brainiacs Poetry Society, who always show up to this event and support us with their brilliant voices. And to Dr. Kane's very brave introduction to poetry students. I have been an introduction to poetry student, and I know how unnerving that can be. There are cookies and punch, and please eat and take a pile home if you want. That's great. Thank you again for coming.